I went to Germany for a work trip. I put it in quotes because it was company affiliated, but it was for a fun competition between several teams around Europe and in the US. Our first night there, I went out with a buddy of mine, hitting a few small bars after dinner. I had a few beers, but was pretty sober, and I was taking care of my friend, who was pretty drunk. At the last bar, we each ordered a drink, and halfway through it, I suddenly felt drunk. From sober to drunk in half a beer. My mind must have already been fucked, because I basically ignored it, and I let my friend walk off back to the hotel by himself when he told me he wanted to leave. In any ordinary situation, I would have gladly went back with him then. The next thing I know, I'm waking up on a sidewalk outside somewhere, with my wallet, over €100 in it, and cell phone gone. Pieces of what happened started to come back to me, and I see flashes of being held down on the ground by 3 or 4 people while they were taking my money. I'm pretty certain that the bartenders are responsible for drugging and robbing me. Afterward, I remember finding a police station and trying to explain to them what happened, but they treated me like a drunken asshole, told me to fuck off, and literally pushed me out the police station. I finally stumbled my way back to my hotel. I had no idea how I made it and found it, and I was in a very paranoid state the whole time. I eventually hit my bed and passed out for about 20 hours. I was in Amsterdam by myself. I'm not religious, but I accidentally booked a hostel that turned out to be a Christian youth center. I came back casually high one night, the night before I was scheduled to return to the US after 5 months in Europe, and passed out right away. Room had 5 beds, but no people. At 4 a.m., I woke up because some guy stumbled into the room, turned on the lights, and woke me up to ask if he could use my phone. I looked and saw his stuff was on one of the other beds, so I knew he was a fellow visitor. Guy was beyond blitzed. He went to his bed and lay down. Then the night terror started. He was screaming primal sounds that I've never heard uttered from a human being. This guy was tripping balls, and sounded like he was in serious pain. I thought he was going to hurt himself. And let me remind you, I was at a Christian hostel and didn't feel comfortable in this place to begin with. I called out to him, tried to calm him down, but he barely acknowledged my presence. Occasionally, my yelling would soothe him a bit, but he would always flare up again. Completely out of control. I was glued to my bed the whole night because I thought approaching him would be dangerous. After 2 solid hours of this, probably the 2 longest hours of my life, he stood up, rushed to the corner of the room, which was a meter from my head, and vomited in the corner. He went to sleep after that. Once I was sure he was asleep, I gathered my things and booked it. No one was behind the front desk as I left either. Fuck that place. My 2 best friends and I were traveling to the Pacific Northwest together and had started our trip off in Seattle. I stayed in plenty of hostels before, so I suggested we stay in a 4-person room at a high-rated hostel, since we figured we wouldn't be in the room all that much. Upon arrival, we met our roommate, a 35-year-old woman who seemed a little quirky, but we didn't think much of it and we left for the day. That night, we were all in the room, and she told us that we couldn't open the windows because someone was going to come in and hurt us, even though we were on the 3rd floor. She also asked us if we called our parents to let them know where we were, because something bad was going to happen to us. Red flag. We tried to brush it off as much as we could, but as the night went on, it just kept getting stranger. We would hear her talking to herself again about something really bad happening to us, and that we should call 911. When she said she was going to sleep, sitting up with the lights on no less, we thought it would be a good time to tell management, seeing that we were concerned for her safety. Management had to ask her to leave due to the things she was saying. This was a huge relief, but looking back on this, I do feel really bad for this woman, seeing that there might be something wrong with her. But in that moment, we felt like we had to do what was safe.